Hi, good afternoon and welcome to Lunch and Learn, a program that is sponsored by Family Partners of Morris and Sussex County. My name is Holly Dinnany, and I am the facilitator for today's discussion, which I'm very excited about. We are, as you know, we invite you all to join us for this hour on Thursdays. We are happy if you keep your camera off, if you're nibbling on your sandwich while you're listening. But we also invite you to pop your camera on. We love to see smiling faces. So today's conversation, as you can see on the screen, we have folks from New Jersey Hope and Healing who are visiting us today. And I always tell you that we're having lunch with an expert. Well, let me tell you, today is your lucky day, because you will get your money's worth. We are having lunch with a team of folks from New Jersey Hope and Healing who are going to be talking to us about mindfulness, which I know we've all heard about mindfulness, but I hope we will understand the power of mindfulness much better after their presentation. So I am first going to introduce Alana Brown, who I think is going to kick off the program and introduce or invite her colleagues to introduce themselves. So Alana, welcome to Lunch and Learn.
Thank you so much. Good morning or good afternoon, everyone. My name is Alana. I am a crisis counselor with Center for Family Services, New Jersey Hope and Healing team. And I'm actually located in Burlington County, so a little ways away from you guys, but thank you guys for having us come in. And I'll just let the rest of the team introduce themselves before we get started with the presentation.
Okay, I'm Kathy Thompson. I'm a crisis counselor, also with New Jersey Hope and Healing, and I live in Cape May County.
Good afternoon. My name is Sylvia Alfaro, and I'm a crisis counselor, and I'm a Atlantic County.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Grant. I'm also a crisis counselor for New Jersey Hope and Healing, and I am in Morris County.
I like the representation. Thank you so much for joining us today. Alana, take it away.
All right. So before we jump into the bulk of our presentation and start talking about mindfulness, I'm just going to give you guys a little bit of background on who we are and what it is that we do, and also a little bit of what you can expect today. So for those of you who are unfamiliar, Center for Family Services is a nonprofit human service agency with its headquarters located in Camden City and has been servicing residents and families throughout the entire state of New Jersey for the past 100 years. Our vision is to help people lead capable, responsible, and fulfilled lives through strong families and healthy community connections. And lastly, we want to help empower individuals and their families to achieve a better life through vision, hope, and strength. So how do we go about doing that? We offer over 70 different programs that span throughout 8 key areas, and they're all designed to meet the unique needs of everyone that we service. Our employees help balance best practices along with cutting edge approaches with love, compassion, and care, so we can have the greatest impact on anyone that we come in contact with. So if you wanted to gain more information about Center for Family Services in general, on your screen now is the phone number as well as the website. So if you were to go on our website or give us a call, you would get more information on the types of programs that we offer and also the specific counties that you can find these locations or these programs. So New Jersey Hope and Healing is one of these 70 different programs, and we're actually a little bit unique because we're not originally a Center for Family Service program. We're actually in collaboration with the New Jersey Department of Human Service, Division of Mental Health and Addiction Service, and we're also funded through FEMA. So the Crisis Counselor program is actually not new. It came in response to the events of 9/11, and anytime there is a disaster, the state will deploy Crisis Counselor programs throughout the entire state to help anyone going through a hard time with whatever disaster is happening. So in this case, the pandemic, New Jersey Hope and Healing through Center for Family Services is one of the 12 programs that is throughout the state for New Jersey Hope and Healing. So our specific team here at CFS is designed to help address the emotional and behavioral health needs of New Jersey residents who are having a hard time coping with the pandemic. And we do that in a wide variety of ways. We offer services to individuals, families, schools, organizations, and businesses. So I'll allow Grant towards the end to give you a better breakdown of what it is that we offer. But it is important to note that all of our services are free, confidential, and offered in both English and Spanish. So what we're going to talk about today, of course, we're going to start talking about mindfulness, but we're also going to talk a little bit about reentry anxiety. So reentry anxiety is something that we've all been experiencing. It's something that we typically see in individuals who are severely isolated, hypervigilant, and have been confined to a certain place for a long period of time, which over the past 15 months or almost 2 years at this point has been us. We've been quarantined, we've been working from home, we haven't been able to socialize with people the way that we're used to. And now that we're talking about going back into the office, going back into the school, going back into churches, it's kind of hard for us to come to understanding of going back to normal, if that's even something that we can say at this point. So the interesting thing about reentry anxiety is that it really impacts different people at different ages completely differently. So with your preschoolers, your pre-K, your kindergarten students, they tend to be the most resilient out of all of the age groups that we've seen. They're the group that has the least amount of memories or at least amount of idea of what life was pre-pandemic. So to them, walking into a building with their face mask and hand sanitizing their hands and rubbing everything down to make sure it's clean, at this point is almost normal for them. Your elementary age students tend to be a little bit more different. They struggle really with that personal safety aspect, right? So that's that age group that if they're in class and someone pulls their mask down, they're automatically assuming that they're going to get in trouble. So they don't want to get in trouble. They don't want to have any repercussions for not wearing their mask and not using their hand sanitizer. And also in this age group, we start to see a little bit more fear with the social interactions. It's been a year since we interacted with people how we're used to. So going back into school and having conversations is something that starts to bring a lot of stress for them at their age group. And lastly, with your preteens or your tweens and your teenagers, they have had a lot more intense exposure to emotionally charged information. And that really comes from the access to social media. We wake up, we get on our phone, and then we can see everything that has happened overnight, anything that's going on in the world, and it can cause a lot of stress and anxiety. Also, with this age group of teenagers, we've seen mental health claims through insurance go through the roof. This group is really struggling a lot to keep themselves together as we go through the pandemic. So in some cases, being quarantined has been a good stress reliever for them. They're not in the school. They don't have to worry about necessarily interacting socially with a lot of people. So for those teenagers who have a lot of mental health issues, going back into school and being a part of the normal group again can cause a lot of stress for them. So how can we help our children cope with reentry anxiety? Want to start off by going slow. If you have a child who is constantly in after school programs and they go Monday through Friday, maybe have them start off with 1 to 2 days a week to see how they're adjusting. And then you can kind of put them back into their regular routine once you realize that they've adjusted properly or that they're handling it well. You're also going to want to maintain routines. So what are some things that you put in place during quarantine? Maybe a game night, maybe a movie night. Keep those things in place so that they have something that is normal to them that they had during the pandemic or during the quarantine rather. Then you're always going to want to validate and educate, show empathy and respect their feelings, and then also reassure them of their safety when we talk about going back into school or going back into after school programs. And then lastly, the importance of connections and staying connected, making the re-entry conversation regular and not just something that comes up when they're anxious or when they have a lot of anxiety. Us at Hope and Healing here have a lot of what we talk about is resiliency, and how we can go about building that resiliency is keeping the lines of communication open and having good conversations and creating a dialogue with our kids. One of the biggest ways to help build resiliency is to start having our kids practice mindfulness, being mindful of their surroundings, being mindful of who they come in contact with, and then also being mindful of their feelings. What makes them sad, what makes them angry, what gives them anxiety. So that way they can start building some resiliency and being the best version of themselves as we go through this hard time. So keeping with the theme of mindfulness, I'm going to pass you to Kathy, and she's going to do a great meditation with you guys, and hopefully you enjoy.
Thank you, Alana, and thank you for everyone for letting me be here. My background is actually mindfulness-based stress reduction. So to start off, I'd just like to talk a little bit about stress. Stress starts the very minute that we're born. Babies get hungry and tired. Toddlers fight for self-control. Life gets progressively more complicated as children grow into teens. relationships, school, independence, all part of growing up and all producing stress. Our automatic reactions, especially when we get into the habit of reacting in unhealthy ways, determine in large measure how much stress we experience. Automatic reactions to stress prevent us from seeing clearly, solving problems creatively, and expressing our emotions effectively. When you think about cavemen and women, the way they reacted to stress was a lot more like other animals today than modern day humans. A caveman might have been chased by a lion, went into his fight or flight mode, and then as soon as he got away, he went right back to foraging or whatever he had done, completely forgetting about what had just happened. That is resilience. But today's humans have a harder time letting go of stress. And the older we get, the harder it gets to control. At each developmental stage, mindfulness can be a useful tool for decreasing anxiety and promoting happiness. Mindfulness is about paying attention. It's about living in the present moment and not getting lost in feeling frustrated over the past or feeling anxious about the future. It's really a simple practice that strengthens the mind's ability to stay focused on what is happening right now, meeting the present moment with kindness and responding rather than reacting. People who practice mindfulness say it fundamentally changes how they experience life. Studies reveal that mindfulness may reduce anxiety and depression, boost your immune system, help manage pain, help you sleep better, reduce high blood pressure, and even change the structure and function of your brain in positive ways. Mindfulness is now being taught to executives at corporations like Google, as well as to kids at home and school. As children move through elementary and middle school, mindfulness can be a powerful tool, allowing them to deal with adversity more skillfully and also enhance their understanding of the world and themselves. When kids are encouraged to look at life with curiosity and kindness, it helps with self-compassion as well as compassion towards others. A simple exercise for kids that I wanted to tell you about and encourage you to try next time one of your kids has a problem is called RAIN. RAIN can help children stay in the present moment and not get caught up clinging to the experience of others or their own emotions. So R stands for recognize, acknowledge what is happening, and just noting it in a calm and accepting manner. A stands for accept, allowing life to be just as it is without trying to change it right away and without wishing it were different somehow. I stands for investigate. See how it feels, whether it's making you upset or happy, giving you pleasure or pain, and just note it. And N stands for non-identification, realizing that the sensations you're feeling make for a fleeting experience, one that will soon pass. It isn't who you are. So as an example, I might say that I'm experiencing some depression today, but it doesn't mean that I'm a depressed person. Because when you start saying I'm depressed, it becomes part of your identity. And by non-identifying with it in that way, it doesn't become part of who you are. It's also good for teenagers. For teenagers, one of the most important ways to engage with mindfulness is through focus on relationships, bringing a mindful attitude into conversations, friendships, even budding romances. In each relationship and even each interaction, there should be an effort to stay present, listen carefully, and speak with honesty and kindness. For families, one way to ritualize this is to make a point of having dinners together, something that's all too easy to lose track of when schedules get really busy. It's simple, but actually having sit-down dinners can be powerful. Just actually checking in, maybe sharing a joyful moment that happened during the day. We're going to have a lot more on tips for mindful eating from Sylvia, who comes on next. So if you want to teach your kids mindfulness, you need to start practicing it yourself. It's not like piano lessons that you can hire someone to teach your child. While kids can benefit from just sitting with their breath and noticing how they feel, adults can benefit from a more formal meditation practice. Meditation is a formal mindfulness practice. It's exploring the present moment as it is, watching with curiosity to our thoughts, our feelings, our body sensations. We allow ourselves to be with each moment with warmth and kindness to ourselves and to others. Our breath, noticing our body, sound around us, walking, even yoga are all different mindful meditations to keep our minds present. By definition, stress reactions happen automatically and unconsciously. As soon as you bring awareness to what is going on in a stressful situation, you've already changed the situation and opened it to adaptive coping strategies, just by not being on automatic pilot anymore. By practicing mindfulness, we're training our minds to recognize changes in thoughts, emotions, and body reactions. It sounds simple, but it's not easy, and it's a skill that's developed with practice. The easiest way to begin cultivating mindfulness as a form of meditation is to focus on your breathing and see what happens as you attempt to keep it there. You can use your breath as an anchor to keep you connected to the present and to guide you back when your mind wanders. To use your breathing to nurture mindfulness, just notice the feeling of it coming into your body and leaving it. That's all, just feeling the breath. It doesn't mean deep breathing or altering your breath in any way, and it doesn't mean thinking about your breath. Just awareness of the breath moving in and moving out. So let's give it a try. I'm going to lead you in a short 5-minute meditation with the focus on your breath. This will give you an idea of how simple yet how difficult it can be. Our minds are so active, and some days a lot more than others. When you find your mind starts to wander, maybe just have a mental response each time, like thinking, and with that, move right back to your breath. Notice what is happening with curiosity and kindness. So if you're ready, sit up in an upright, dignified posture with your back straight yet relaxed, arms hanging loosely at your sides, with your hands resting on your lap or your knees, sensing into your body, feeling contact with your feet solid on the floor, your legs, buttocks, and back on your chair. Feeling your arms, shoulders, neck, and head. Feeling your body as a whole. When you are ready, allowing your eyes to close if it's comfortable or slightly open. Just bringing your awareness to your breath. Not trying to change the breath in any way. Resting on the breath as it goes in and goes out. Perhaps feeling a sense of opening as you breathe in and a releasing as you breathe out. Maybe feeling the breath as it comes in and out of your nostrils, or the expansion and contraction of your lungs inside your chest. Gently riding the waves of your breath as you breathe in and you breathe out. By now, you may notice that your mind has started to wander. This is perfectly normal. Simply notice where your mind has been, acknowledge your thought, and gently and firmly bring your attention back to your breath. Allowing your thoughts to come and go like clouds in the sky. Simply continuing this practice, observing the sensation of breath. Allowing your breath to function as an anchor to keep you present. And if you notice your mind has wandered, gently bring it back to your breath. Letting go of expectations or judgments of your practice. Just sitting and breathing. As this meditation comes to a close, letting your attention ride the waves of your breath a few more times, and perhaps thanking yourself for allowing the space to be present, knowing you can return anytime throughout the day, moment to moment. If your eyes are closed, slowly open them up. This short mindfulness practice is complete. Now, every time you notice your mind wandering, you're practicing mindfulness and you're exercising that same mental muscle that recognizes stress triggers and gives you space to respond rather than react. So mindfulness meditation is just a formal practice to help you in your informal practice, which is throughout the day, so that when you're starting to react to something, whether it's stress eating or stress drinking or snapping at somebody that you care about, or getting super stressed over something that you don't really need to, having this muscle exercise gives you that little bit of space to say, oh, I feel my body feeling stressed right now. I'm not going to react. I'm going to take a deep breath and I'm going to respond in a healthy way. And that's why you get all kinds of different kinds of mindfulness classes and all different things, because it helps you in so many ways. So thank you for letting me talk about mindfulness, which is really important to me. I'm going to pass this on now to Sylvia, who's going to talk about mindful eating. And while she does this, I'm just going to put a couple books in the chat in case you're interested in learning more about mindfulness-based stress reduction. And then afterwards, if you have any questions, I would be more than happy to answer them. So thank you. And Sylvia, here you go.
Thank you. That was very nice, Kathy. So good afternoon, and since we are having lunch, we are going to talk about mindful or meaningful eating. Once again, I'm Sylvia Alfaro from Hope and Healing. All right, so what exactly is mindful eating? Mindful eating is a practice of being focused in the present time when we're eating, by truly paying attention to the food we eat. And that makes us aware about if we're eating healthy food or are we eating unhealthy, right? That's the with a sense of mindfulness and being attentive to each process of your eating habits. When you buy your food, right? What am I buying? Do I need all of this I'm buying, right? Sometimes we go to the store and I am crazy with sweets. So I used to get all the sweets, all the good things, because they just sweet and they just feel good in my mouth, but they're not healthy for me. So are we aware of that? When we are preparing our food, are you happy preparing your food? Are you conscious that you are cooking, or while you're cooking, are you thinking so many things, right? We all have problems, we all have things to think, but am paying attention to what I'm cooking, right? Did I put too much salt? Did I do this? What did I do? All right. And when we serve our food, right, since that food is going through our body, is the food I'm serving to myself or to my family or to my children's pretty, or I'm just doing it because it's just the way it's just how can I say, I'm just serving it because it's time to serve the food. No, pretty, right? You're going to consume that. You also deserve pretty food. So today we are going to talk about all this mindful, that these are things that we already know. I'm always saying that we already know these things. I believe that we have this knowledge within, but it's just a reminder, right, for all of us, how important it is to pay attention to what we eat, how we prepare, what to buy, because it's for us. We are going to consume that. Others are going to consume that. My family, and I want to make it with mindfulness. All right. But what happens if I don't practice mindful eating? All right, two things can happen. The first thing is the emotional eating. And what is emotional eating? It's defined as eating as a way to suppress our negative emotions such as stress, anger, fear, sadness, loneliness. In major events that commonly the hassle of daily life can trigger negative emotions, right? This is when we have those feelings. I'm nervous because, hey, listen, it's September, we are going back to face, and I haven't been in my job for a long time. I'm going back to school. I'm doing many new things that I haven't done in a long time. So we get nervous, we get distressed. And what do? many times we ran to the kitchen, see what's in the fridge, right? What's in the fridge that can comfort that fear, that anger, that sadness, right? And we just don't, sometimes we don't think. And then here when the sweet comes or anything, right, we just take it to comfort, to relax, right? So let's talk about the external eating. External eating, of course, when you eat in response to the environmental food-related goods, such as sight or smell of food. And I'm always say this, the good times of the year are coming, October, November, December, all this month we have holidays. And what happened? Our friends bring food, our families cooking, our favorite food, those smells, right? And sometimes if I even already ate breakfast or lunch or dinner, wow, that kitchen smells so good. Let me have some of that. Let me have some of this. And if you notice during the day or during the week, how many of those you have, which is not bad, you can try, but let's be mindful and let's be aware about the portion, right? And later on, we're going to talk about why it's good to be aware about how much I'm eating, why am I eating, and you know, just to be aware of these things. Like I said before, we have this knowledge within. It's just a reminder that if we do mindfulness, it's better. It's healthy for you. It's going to get you through the day healthy and happy. Okay, but Sylvia, okay, everything sounds good, but how I start to do this? Or if you're already doing it, how I incorporate new things, new ideas to what I'm already doing, right? Well, the first thing we can do is intention, right? When we do things without intention, is like going to the mall, but I don't know what the store I'm going. I don't know, I'm just walking, I don't know where I'm going, right? It's similar to that. So it's very important that you place an intention. Why am I eating, right? If I already ate breakfast or lunch or dinner, why am I eating again? Or how many times I ate already? I'm eating because I'm angry, because I'm hungry, because I'm nervous, right? So the intention also can be like, okay, I'm eating because I want to lose weight or I want to gain weight. You know, so many people that do that too, gaining a little weight. So set your intention. Let's say you can send that intention now. You can send that intention at the beginning of the week or at the beginning of the day before you go to sleep or when you get up in the morning. The intention of eating today is going to be because I want to start to eat healthy, right? And I'm just going to eat and focus on healthy things. But you say, Sylvia, what's healthy? Come on, we know it's healthy. We can go with a list of healthy things. We can make a little list and we can buy those things. Right. So the other one is eating and maintaining overall health and well-being as an intention. That's part of the intention. Eating slowly and without distractions. Nowadays, that's kind of impossible, but possible. Why? Because we have meetings starting very early in the morning. We have 1, 2, 3 meetings. In between meetings, if we're working from home, we also have family that is calling, something that I have to do in the computer. Everything is in the computer. But I invite you to dedicate those 10 minutes to you, okay? That phone call comes, say, listen, I am eating my breakfast, I am eating my lunch. I will call you in a minute. As soon as I'm done, I will call you. It's okay to say that. And now that we're going back in person, it's okay to take that half an hour break, that hour break, and to say, I'm going to take my hour. I am going to go to the corner. There's a nice restaurant right there. And I'm going to treat myself to a nice salad. I'll be back. Many, many times, and I've been there. I have so much work that I'm going to take my half an hour or my hour break to finish the work. Please, I invite you to take the minute. Remember, we have 8 hours at work. 1 hour is for you. Take it. It's for you. You deserve it. Right? The other one, listening to physical hunger cues and eating only until you're full. Distinguishing between your hunger and non-hunger triggers for eating. engaging in all senses of noticing colors, smell, sounds, textures, flavor. This is a very, very important one. Have you noticed that sometimes we eat our favorite food, something that we enjoy, but it's like we're doing it because again and again, but did you feel the smell? Did you hear the sound of the crunchiness? And I have a funny things for the, I was telling my coworkers the other day, every time I eat, I enjoy certain kind of food. It's like my daughter say, Mommy, I can hear you eating. I can hear you eating. It's I enjoy it. It's okay. All right. So feel free to feel your experience with your food. Learning to cope with guilt and anxiety around your food. Noticing effects of food has your feeling in figure, and appreciating food. This is a big one, and this should be at the beginning of your starting, right? Giving thanks for what we have, giving thanks for that so much food that we have. And let's remember, not a lot of people is lucky like us to have so much food in the world. So giving that thank you, I feel like bring us more food to our table. All right, so now I invite you to take a minute for you. Tell me how's your way of eating meaningful? How do you use mindfulness in your eating habits? What are you doing? Something new? What are you learning? So just tell me, and I'm here for you. So I'll give you a minute and just share with us. What do you do? What are you doing, or what are you planning to implement in your practice? And let's remember, I forgot to say, it's a process, okay? Everything is a process. So learning to eat meaningful is also a process. Slowly, you don't have to do everything at once. Slowly but surely.
Sylvia, I'm gonna tell folks you can feel free to pop off mute, or if you'd like to write something in the chat, we can read it for you. But Sylvia, I thought I liked your point about considering what the food's going to make us feel like after the fact. I had a mom say to me the other day that she got a cantaloupe and cut it up and was so interested in how good she felt eating something like that instead of snacking on chips throughout the day. I think we often forget that it's not a matter of maintaining your weight as much as also just helping your body have energy. I always look at it like gasoline, right? We're busy people. We have a lot of things to do and places to go. And if you're putting syrup in your gas tank, it's not going to take you as far as something that gives you energy. So let's see. I like that Sharon Kelly says in the chat, I say a prayer of thanks for everything on my plate. The animal, fish, or eggs. Oh, I lost my that created our nourishment. That's really nice. Gratitude, right, Sylvia? Does gratitude come into play?
Correct. And that's the first one. I always give the sample of, I love going to Hamilton and just drive all over and I see the farms, those beautiful tomatoes, those beautiful peaches. And when I see them, I say, wow, God, we have so much stuff. And with one tomato, you can make a nice, beautiful meal and something that is gonna make you feel healthy and proud of yourself because you went to get the tomato. Even a tea, I was talking to someone last night. You know, the culture of tea or coffee, right? How prepare that tea, the hot water, it's a process, but at the end, it's healthy for you, makes you feel relaxed. So those are the things that we are looking in when we do mindful eating. And let's remember, it can be, you can make mindfulness in anything. When you take a shower, do you feel the water? Do you feel your body? I have someone who told me, you know, when you take a shower, do you feel your hair? Do you feel your face? I say, no, I don't have time for that. All right, let's start practice, right? But once I was aware of that, now I practice a little bit more and I make sure that I feel the water, that I feel the warmth of the water, all the coolness of the water, right? So it's awareness and we can do it with everything. That's a good thing about it. Anybody else?
How about the importance of drinking water, Sylvia? Isn't that also another mindful practice that can help us feel full and energized? And I like to try to drink my water out of a pretty glass. I think that tricks me into, that's a mindful practice I have, right? Of something that helps you take joy in
Yes,
something that's
anything that
positive.
brings you joy, something like you put your water in the glass, that's the beauty of thing. You want to make it look pretty. You want to make it look because it's for you, right? And then you drink the water like drinking wine. That's the funny thing. That once we start to get into this process, right? We know that it's for us. You know that it's gonna bring you wellness, and then that glass of water, you see the beauty in it. So it's many, many things. And like you said before, the power of being of practicing mindfulness is in everything.
Someone else put in the chat, being mindful of waste too, being thoughtful about how we're preparing or how we're serving, how we're making the most of what it is we're eating. Mindfulness can go in a lot of different directions, right?
All right. All right. So now, thank you so much for letting me talk about mindfulness. I hope this all have helped. And if you have any question, you can always ask, and can give you some ideas. But I think we got a lot of ideas. All right. So now I'm going to leave you with Grant. He's going to go over the resources we have. And I hope you have a beautiful rest of your day.
Thank you, Sylvia. Thank you, Kathy. Thank you, Lana. And especially thank you to Holly for bringing us here today. I'm going to go over the resources before we jump into any questions you may have about our program, about mindfulness, about meditation, about reentry anxiety, about anything. So we're just going to go over our resources quickly that we offer. So again, New Jersey Hope and Healing is a crisis counseling program through Center for Family Services. And our mission is to address the emotional and behavioral health needs of New Jersey residents in response to the COVID-19 pandemic. We want to assist individuals and communities in recovering from the effects of natural and human-caused disasters through the provision of community-based outreach and psychoeducational services. So this slide talks about who we are and who we aren't. So our crisis counselors, which is who we are, we're not licensed therapists. We do provide psychoeducational counseling services rather than psychotherapeutic. We do not diagnose or treat mental health disorders, but we do help find appropriate referrals for issues outside of our scope of care. So some of the services we offer can be services for kids or teens who may be experiencing reentry anxiety. For that, we could do individual support with kids or teens, family support sessions. We could do a 3-part child or teen resiliency session, which has fun activities. It has a chance for the kids, teens, and the families to talk about what they've been feeling and the kind of reactions they've been having during the pandemic and during reentry. We have a teen resiliency presentation. We have an adult resiliency presentation. And lastly, we have a self-care sessions or series. So we have things, virtual groups such as Self-Care Jeopardy, which I think is on one of the next slides. We have Resiliency Wheel of Fortune. Kathy does mindfulness. Sylvia does a longer version of her mindful eating, mindful intentions. So yeah, a bunch of games. We have yoga. So there are a bunch of different virtual options as well.
Grant, I have a question for you. Is your teen resiliency program, is it aimed at adults or is it geared toward teens?
It's geared toward teens.
Right.
Yeah, so the presentation, it's usually an hour. It's similar to the presentation for adults, but it also factors in some statistics on mental health in teens during the pandemic. We also bring in like breakout rooms to bring some activities and keep the teens engaged during the presentation as well.
Thank you.
So these services, we've heard from the young people we've worked with that they were their favorites. So one is the facilitated resiliency group. So this is a group where it's almost like venting, like they can talk about what they've been feeling, what they've been going through, what they look forward to, what has been hard during this pandemic. So one example topic would be the silver lining. So like, what silver lining can teens find when talking about school, even if they don't want to go? Another service that we have that was given a good review by our young population was one of the games, which is Self-Care Jeopardy. So this is basically Jeopardy, but it has a spin of self-care on it. So the categories would be self-care. And yeah, it's a lot of fun. I played it myself. It was definitely a lot of fun. So about reentry anxiety, we can help by offering self-care tips and sessions to help students cope with their personal sources of anxiety, whatever they may be, by helping young people identify their stressors, as well as how to recognize their bodily and behavioral cues of stress. And lastly, by helping children and teens learn about resiliency, as well as how to design a personalized self-care plan to cultivate and refuel their resiliency. Although children and teens need help with their resiliency, of course, parents and adults do as well. So how can we help ourselves as well as our children in order to better assist our children who are experiencing reentry anxiety? So that can be through self-care. A few points through self-care could be practicing self-compassion, that self-talk you have, being positive in that way. Model good coping skills as parents and teachers and adults for our kids. Practice mindfulness-based communication, like being present when you're communicating with someone. And lastly, identifying things you can control versus things you cannot control. So this is one of our last slides. It just has an overview of the services we have. Again, we have free, anonymous, and confidential services. We have an individual support sessions, family support sessions, one to 3 parts for children, teens, adolescents. We work with seniors as well. We have a facilitated resiliency group, a presentation, a team presentation, and then the virtual groups that I mentioned before, such as yoga, mindfulness, and different games, etc. So if you want to contact us, our phone number is 855-499-4325, or we could also be emailed at hopeandhealing@centerffs.org.
I have a question for you, Grant. If folks want to, I know I see, I'm on your list to see your schedule of programming. Is that something that somebody could sign up for, or where could they find the programs that you run?
You're talking like the events calendar?
Yeah, there's like an events calendar. I've just seen you have a lot of exciting things going on. Is there a central location for that, or is that something that you sign up for?
Yes. Perfect segue.
How about, I didn't know that, folks. That's just the magic, right, Grant? That's the magic.
Yeah, so we've been doing an events calendar, I think, since June. Now we're in September. So this is our events calendar. If you want, we can email Holly. If you want, I don't know if you have it, we can email you the PDF version with the links and everything to give people so they can sign up.
That would be great. I think I have it. And folks, just a reminder that we are recording today's presentation, and we will be sharing the recording with you, as well as a few of these resources. And I would really encourage you that, and I'm sorry if I'm stomping on you here, Grant, but I just, while I'm thinking about it, I want to make sure that I say, number one, thank you for making time for being here. I mean, we all have things we could be doing right now, and the fact that you are here to hear what our team of lunchmates has to say about the important topic of, just taking good care of us, and mental health and being mindful is really, really important. So when you get that recording, send it to a friend, send it to a colleague, or maybe there's somebody in your family that might benefit from hearing some of the tips that we got today, and also from knowing some of these resources. I will absolutely forward your calendar. Just remember that there are resources out there, and I will also reiterate the contact number for this organization, because there's really wonderful programs going on. So Grant, I apologize. I'll get off my soapbox. It's your turn.
No, it's okay. Thank you. All right, so this is the calendar. We have events such as journaling and affirmations. We have a family game night. We have mindful moments. We have a venting support group where you can vent and talk about what you've been feeling tomorrow and again in 2 weeks. We have meditation and yoga. So there are a bunch of fun and interesting events. So feel free to join. We'd love to see you.
And are they all virtual, Grant, or are
Yes.
they, okay, all virtual, great.
Yes. So that will be the end of our presentation. We want to thank you for having us and thank you for taking the time out of your day to be with us today. We can now open the floor to any questions if you want to unmute or write in the chat. If you have any particular questions about something one of the presenters presented, or if you have a question about some of the services we offer, anything at all would be great.
While we're waiting for folks to respond, I just want to say that, it's interesting. I think of back to school shopping, right? Everybody was doing their supply list that you get from the teachers. And to me, having some of your resources in your back pocket is another good thing to keep on your desk, right? As far as we don't always anticipate having a tough time or our children having a tough time. So to me, understanding what your options are and trying to, I think earlier in your presentation, you were talking about keeping communication open before there's a challenge, right? As far as how we might feel with the, this transition is big for everybody. I also like that you mentioned that this is not just about youth transitioning. This is about adults maybe going back to work face to face, maybe facing the reality that they might be working remotely, which I have to say is, right, it's a plus and a minus, right? It's a challenge. So is there anything that you wish, and anybody can respond to this, is there one thing that you wish folks would keep in mind as we are in this period of transition? I mean, this is, I think we all were looking forward to going back to school and going back to work. And now that we're here, is there anything that you think we should keep in mind beyond the mindfulness? Anything in particular?
I guess personally, so I used to be like nervous going to school and stuff. And my mom always used to tell me like everyone's in the same boat. It's everyone's first day. So I think that applies here too. That's how I like to think of it, is like the people who are re-entering, like everyone's in the same boat. Like a lot of people are nervous. So it's good to just be mindful and know that you're not in it alone.
And I also want to add that just be gentle with yourself. We've been in a very difficult situation, and understand that it's a process. And now that you are aware of your feelings, allow to feel the way you feel it and express. Make sure you have your support person and look for that support person and talk about it because that helps, right? And it's a process. Just keep in your mind, it's a process. It's okay. I am going to be okay. Be gentle with yourself.
Yeah, I thought what we said in the beginning about reentry is so relevant even for those going back to the office. So take it slowly. Don't think that you can, get up and go to the gym and then go to the office and then go out with friends afterwards for dinner or drinks without feeling a lot of anxiety, because we just spent a year and a half feeling really afraid of those things. And so now that we're slowly going back, I think it's wise to go in small steps rather than huge ones.
And Kathy, the N in your RAIN that you talked about, I really appreciated that as well. The non-identification, that what I'm feeling is not who I now am. It might be fleeting as to where I am at the moment, right? Like that was really helpful. Well, we can't thank you enough for, first of all, telling us about the many wonderful services, Center for Family services and the New Jersey Hope and Healing. And you've got so many opportunities for people to connect, because that's another thing we were talking about before we started recording today is, we all have different scenarios. We all have different challenges, but the one thing that we need to be aware of is they can be isolating when we feel we're the only ones feeling this way or struggling with X, Y, and Z. As Sylvia said, talk to somebody, and it can be somebody, a friend, a neighbor, a sibling, or quite frankly, it can be somebody in one of these groups. And I don't know if many of you have participated in a support group or an online program like that, but I'm here to tell you that it really can be very empowering to share with other people how you're feeling, or perhaps hear how somebody else is feeling, and you realize you're not the only one who might be struggling or may be frustrated or sad or whatever it might be. So please take advantage of these wonderful resources, which we will send the recording, and I will send you the key contact information for our new friends at New Jersey Hope and Healing. And I'm just going to encourage everybody to remember that, your friends at Family Partners also, we offer support groups for parents, for moms, for dads in Spanish, and for youth ages 13 to 21. So thank you for being here with us today. Kathy, Grant, Alana, and Sylvia, it has been a pleasure. And I do feel calmer. I really do have a nice calm. And also, I think the whole encouragement to be intentional and aware landed on my heart. So thank you for sharing that today. And everyone, thanks for being with us. And we hope to see you again next week. We've got some great presentations for the remainder of the month. We're going to talk next week about school aversion and what we might be able to do to support youth who are struggling with that. We are going to see our friends from Morris County's Hope Hub, which is a really cool and wonderful new program that's operating in Morris County. And then the end of the month, we will be talking about how to talk with teens about suicide and who have struggles, and how to support them at a time when they really need it. So as always, your friends at Family Partners are thrilled that you were with us today. And New Jersey Hope and Healing, we now have 4 good friends there. So I'll send you the contact information, reach out if you need anything. Everybody take care and stay healthy.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye.